as a kid, we're really interested in colour and things and, you know, the world around us. You know, like you pick up a leaf and you think it's like the most magical thing like that you've ever seen in your life. And it's kind of like, when does that stop? You know, that kind of wonder, that joy. And, you know, like as a kid you talk about like, you know, what's your name? What's your favourite colour? You know, and as an adult, we don't talk about that, do we? We're not like, you know, and obviously I think most people probably know what mine is without even asking, but I look at some homes that are white and grey and I just think, is grey your favourite colour? Like, when did you stop loving the pinks and the blues and the reds and, you know, all the bright colours? And, you know, so I think there is like that joy, isn't there, of like sometimes being a bit childlike and a bit, you know, a bit kid-like and having a little bit more wonder and a bit more magic in the world, really. I grew up with my mum and my younger brother. My mum never had loads of money, but we always like did stuff, and she was always encouraging us to, you know, be creative, to sew, to paint, to make stuff out of clay. You know, I think I always had that like craftiness. You know, my mum was working a few different jobs and didn't always have like loads and loads of time. My grandparents kind of not overcompensated, but they just really spoilt me, but not like in a bad way. They just spoilt me with time, really. And first thing that I can kind of remember making treasure maps. So I'd like draw pictures and I'd like, you know, write on these like, you know, lovely like little treasure maps. And then we'd get the coffee and the tea and, you know, like make them look really aged. And obviously then my favourite bit, putting them in the fire to kind of, you know, like singe the edges. So I bet my gran still got them actually, she's probably got loads. Me and my gran and granddad would always go around the car boot sales. We'd get up early, you know, we kind of never knew what we were going to get. And I can remember one week my gran got this like chandelier and she paid like £5 for it, and we spent the afternoon like cleaning them all and then putting this beautiful big light together, and she still got that in a room, and it was like £5. And you know, just like things like that, it's just like those little memories. I can remember once as a kid finding a suitcase and it had all her like 1970s negligees, and they were like pink, you know, with all the like marabou fur and like the matching mules. So obviously that was like, you know, my first foray into pink, and literally I can just remember like walking around the house thinking, this is it, I've made it now, I've got my pink negligee, I've got my little fluffy mules. And yeah, I was just marabou feathered up to the eyeballs, and it never really stopped. I actually went to Leeds College of Art and I studied fashion and accessories, and I absolutely loved it. It was just like the best thing, because it was kind of, oh right, okay, this could be a career, this could be a job. Another part of the course was millinery, and it was only a small part, but I absolutely loved the millinery side of things. I would always want to do something bigger and bold than everyone else in the class. You know, people would be there, you know, spending weeks and weeks, and they'd create something like, you know, this big. And then I'd be there, you know, with all this cinema, like creating these great shapes and, you know, creating, you know, these huge big hats, you know, the biggest feathers, the brightest colours. Because I was just like, if you're going to wear a hat, let it be seen. The hat is first and then the outfit comes second, you know, rather than the other way around. So whilst I was at Leeds College of Art, I think it was it 1996, something like that, Harvey Nichols came to Leeds, and I can remember going for a Saturday job, and I got the job and I was just like, oh my god, I'm going to be working in Harvey Nichols, like this is so exciting. And then I thought, I know, I'll be a holiday rep. So at 18, I got a job for Thompson's, packed up and went and did like a summer season in Mallorca. So yeah, so then when I got back from being a holiday rep, I got a job in an insurance company. It was in a call centre. From then I got a job in the NHS. I was there for ages and we did loads of really great stuff, but obviously I knew that I didn't kind of want to do that forever. So I met my husband about 13 years ago, and I can remember when we first started going out, like I said, Nick, I really, really want to travel, like that was my thing. I was like, let's go backpacking, let's see the world together. I think it was about like 3 years in. I said, Nick, if we don't start planning this, it's always just going to be a pipe dream. And I was like, we have to make it happen. So we spent like 3.5 months like in Southeast Asia, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam. So I was, you know, always, you know, really inspired by, you know, everything that I could see. And it was that kind of, that thinking time that you don't have when you're on the hamster wheel of work, you know, doing stuff. So that kind of time just kind of made me think, gosh, you know, I've got this creativity that I need to get out. I don't feel fulfilled in my job. I don't feel like it's very me. And I think sometimes even just like saying it out loud at the time to Nick, I never really quite believed that I would do anything different. You know, I never quite really believed that I would have a job that I absolutely love. I kind of still thought it's still a pipe dream, really. When we came back, I was kind of doing up my house and everything at the time. I was just chatting to a friend, and he's an artist friend of mine, and he was like, have you heard about this designer called Abigail Ahern? And I was like, no. And he was like, you need to have a look what she's doing, or get you know, have a look at her book. Anyway, I had a look and I was like, oh, she's a bit different. I like her. So I enrolled on one of her little day workshops, and it was really good. It was a bit of an eye-opener actually. And I joined Instagram, and again, then that was a whole different like source of inspiration. And suddenly I found a community of people that were like me, you know, that were obsessed with cushions, that loved colour, that loved DIY and decorating. So it was kind of nice to find this group of friends that we could get excited and we could learn from each other, and always really encouraging as well. And, you know, I'd started like posting, you know, pictures of my house, and it kind of just opened up a whole like new creative world, really. And at the time we had like this little tiny weeny 2-bed semi. You know, it was packed with stuff and packed with personality, and you know, I'd share that online, and you know, people would love it, and they'd be like, oh yeah, you know, where'd you get that from, or da da da. And it was really nice. I kind of thought, oh, I found like my little tribe here. So we were living in quite a small semi. I decorated all the rooms, and I just kind of, it was fine when I was living there by myself, but I think, you know, for 2 of us and the cat, it just all got a little bit too small. So we were looking for absolutely ages, and this came up, and I was like, oh my god, like I've always loved this house. So it's built in 1936 in an ex-mining town in Yorkshire, and so like, you know, a lot of the houses are like red brick terraced houses, and then we've got this big like white Art Deco house on the corner. It was a lady GP, so she bought the plot of land and actually worked with 2 local architects to build the house. And I just find that fascinating, you know, like back in those days, even like the tiles in the bathroom were imported from Italy. It just absolutely like blows my mind, like the actual vision. So the house is called Chatelaine, which means a lady in charge of a large house. The lady doctor, she was called Dr. Innes Pragnell. She had it for like 20 years, and she had it as her practice and her surgery. And apparently she was like a big character. So she was not married. She wore trousers, which was kind of unheard of in the day, red lipstick, smoked cigarettes, and, you know, by all accounts, frequented the local bars. So I think, gosh, sounds pretty cool actually. She sounds like we kind of would have got on. And then she sold, and then it was a lady in the 1950s, a lady called Dolly had it as a hairdresser's and a hair salon. In the late 1970s, the house became derelict, really, and eventually the council put a compulsory purchase order on it, and they were going to knock it down until a local architect called Terence Hughes bought it. That was back in 1982, I think it was. So then he spent years and years and years restoring it back to its old glory, trying to preserve and keep anything that was, you know, still okay. So God, the day that we got the keys, I mean, it was like half excitement, but another half just pure relief. Because it's got such good bones, I think it just needed that love, and I think, but it also needed a little bit of confidence and somebody that's bold enough to think, do you know what, yeah, let's just really, really go for it. And I think really that kind of started everything, you know, into like what I'm doing now, because like suddenly I've got this beautiful house to decorate and to practice stuff, you know, because I'm not a trained interior designer or anything like that. So actually this was, you know, if you're an artist, this is your canvas. This was my canvas. I kind of wanted to keep the essence of Art Deco. And for me, when I think about Art Deco, I just don't think about, you know, black and white and clean lines and everything. I think flamboyance, opulence, you know, and, you know, even if you think about like the fashions at the time, you know, like in the like roaring 20s, you know, all the feathers and the sequins and the glitz and the glamour, that's kind of what I wanted to inject into the house. The architect that actually bought it, he's sadly passed away now, but I'm actually in touch with his son, and he said to me, oh, you know, you and my dad would have really got on, like, and I just think, oh my God, right, okay. And he'll say things like, oh, do you know what, like, he would have loved what you've done with the house, and that kind of makes me think, all right, okay, I'm like doing the right thing. But I've just had a lot of fun with it, you know, I've just had so much fun. And I got a message from the production company for Interior Design Masters saying, hi Siobhan, did you know the closing date for applications for the next series is in a couple of weeks? Why don't you apply? And I was like, oh my God, if I'd have known, I would have applied, you know, straight away. And just thought, you know what, I could do that. I think that'd be really, really good. And also an opportunity to, you know, do a bit of commercial interior design, like properly. So I applied for that, and I can remember having the Zoom call and then getting a telephone call afterwards. This was like, you know, months into the process, saying you've got on the show, and I was like, oh. So it was kind of like, that's when the reality like kicked in, and I was like, oh my God, I'm actually gonna have to do this. I'm actually gonna have to do designs and be filmed at the same time. Like, this is a bit scary actually, but oh God, I was so excited. Obviously I loved doing it, and I loved all the different challenges, and I learnt loads, and, you know, met a group of mates that we just absolutely love each other, you know. It's so nice. We talk to each other nearly every day. The day that the final aired on TV, the next day I was kind of on my laptop, and I felt really sad. I just felt like this like overwhelming sadness, and it makes me even sad just thinking about it, because I just thought, this is not what I want to do. This is not what I want to do at all. And I mean, God, don't get me wrong, it was a great job, but it just wasn't for me anymore. And I just thought, God, I've had all this, like, such fun, excitement, like waking up every day, like being fully exhausted, literally, like my body was nearly broken, but doing something that I just loved, and something that just like gave me this such joy and such pleasure, to then kind of thinking, well, I've had all that excitement now, and now I'm kind of just going back to the same old, you know, the same old routine where I couldn't be creative. So I can remember on that day, I was working at home, and my husband Nick was working at home, and I just went into his office, and I just said, Nick, I'm going to have my notice in. And I thought he'd go, oh well, you know, have a little think about it, and he just went, yeah, I think you should. And I was like, oh, what, really? So I was a total coward about it. I waited till 5:30 when I knew my boss had logged off and sent an email. I was like, oh my gosh. And after 18 years and, you know, a steady job, it was like, it was a bit, you know, a bit of a bum clenching moment, really. It was a bit like, oh, what am I doing? And you know what, from that day, yeah, it was scary, and you know, I've been talking about it for so long. Yeah, I'm going to have my notice in a few months. Next year I'm going to have my notice in, And it was always like, even when I said it out loud, I never actually really did believe it, really, that I actually would do it. So actually just doing something like that and really like taking control, and that element of fear, but also the element of the possible, you know, the possibilities, what could be around the corner. And I can honestly say, like, I've just never looked back. And, you know, yeah, I've had a lucky break, you know, with the, you know, with the show and everything like that. But, you know, I literally just sat down and I put together, I did like a little diagram, and it was like me in the middle, and then it was like all the things that I wanted to do. So it was like, I wanted to design some products, you know, to actually like design something from scratch and then have it like in somebody's house. Like, I was like, oh, that just like blows my mind. So I wanted to do that. I wanted to do some more TV stuff. I wanted to do, you know, I wanted to write a book. So I had all these things on there, on this kind of like a bit of a manifestation kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think nearly they've all come true. So it's just been an absolute like whirlwind, really. When I first started writing the book, I just kind of thought, right, what would I want to read about? What would I want to learn about? But also, you know, I think for years and years and years, we've always had rules, haven't we? We've had these rules about interiors and rules about, you know, oh God, you know, you can't paint your skirting boards anything other than white. And, you know, you've got to do this and you've got to do that. And I just kind of think, why? Why do you have to do that? No. You have to do what you want to do. It's your home. And I think sometimes when you stop worrying about, you know, what other people think, whether it's with what you wear or how you decorate your home, then that's like really when the magic starts happening, because suddenly, you know, you're not worried about these rules. You're not worried about what other people think. You're just decorating from the heart, and I think that's like the key thing. You know, it's not a book about rules. There's no rules in the book. It's all about being your true self. So it's just kind of just exploring, really, exploring maximalism, but also don't have collections, you know, tucked away in drawers, in you know, in cupboards, in the attic. You know, if you've got a collection that you love, that, you know, you get out maybe like once in a blue moon and you're like, ooh, this is exciting, have it out, you know, put it in a cabinet, or, you know, do something with it where it's kind of on display, where you see it every day, and so that every day that brings, you know, that brings you joy. And also it's a bit of a talking point as well, isn't it? And it's literally bringing your personality, I think, into your home. I think that's really, really important, because sometimes you see these people and they've got big personalities and, you know, they dress quite wacky, and then the house doesn't really kind of fit in with that. So actually, you know, I think it's kind of just, you know, maybe stepping out your comfort zone a little bit, being a little bit braver, and I just don't think you'd regret it. There's just loads of inspiration in there as well, so it's been really, really fun, like picking all the photos and everything. And literally there's not, I think there's like half a page that's white, everything else is just full colour explosion on every page. So I actually said, I mean, I don't like blow my own trumpet loads, sometimes I do, but a little bit, but I said to my publisher the other day, I was like looking through, like, that she'd like mocked up like a copy and printed it out, and I was like, oh, it's really good, isn't it? It's like really juicy. She was like, yeah, it is good, it's really good. So I'm really, really proud of that. I just can't believe that there's going to be, yeah, I'm actually going to have like a physical book. You know, I'd like tell people, I'm like, I've done this and this and this, and I said, oh, I'm writing a book, and people are like, oh. So, and I think there's still something like quite magical, isn't there, about a book, because it's like, it's a thing, it's like a legacy. Like, you know, when I'm, you know, dead and buried, you know, somebody might be at a car boot sale and they'll be like, who's this crazy Siobhan Murphy, Maurice Moore? What's this all about? You know, in 100 years' time, you know, somebody could actually pick up that book and be like, oh, God, she was quite cool, that girl. Or maybe not.